It's a hot, humid August day here in Florida, and I'm harvesting a little bit of honey. One of the challenges we have here in Florida and a lot of the South is that, especially during the summertime, it's so humid the bees can't dry out the honey down to 18% moisture content, and they cap it around 20, sometimes even up to 22%. And so this honey I extracted today, it's coming in just over 20% moisture content, and I want to get it down to about 18%. And so I want to show you my little setup for drying out honey. I can do about 20 gallons a time, and a lot of times I can bring it from about 22% to 18 in about one day of drying it. And so it's a lot cheaper than some of the commercial honey dryers you'll find on the market that run starting around $5,000 and up. And so it works good for me for smaller batches of honey. It's a great method, and so I want to share that with you guys. Here's my little extraction setup here. I got a table that I put the frames full of honey. Been using these Pro Nuke boxes to pull some honey. Right now the bees are a little robby, and so I can pop those lids on it when I pull it and keep the bees out of it. They're working good for that. This honey is actually from brood nests. I had a problem with a lot of my brood nests getting honey bound, and so queens are running out of room to lay. So yesterday I went through a bee yard and pulled about 40 frames of honey out of the brood nests and replaced those with foundation to give those queens room to lay. I got my uncapping table here where full frames of honey can go right in here, and then I got my uncapper right there. Here's a frame of partially capped honey, and then got an 18 frame extractor with these deep frames. It holds 9 of them. Then I got my bucket. I'm not straining it right out of the bucket because I'm going to do that after I finish the drying process, so I don't have to strain it twice. And so I'll show you kind of the whole process here. So here's the honey, just uncapped. Goes from there right into the extractor. And we're going to shut the lid. Turn it on, spin it out for a few minutes. And as that spins, that honey gets flung out of the combs and against the side, and then comes down here. After I extract the honey, then I put it in these full-size baking sheets. Each one, I put about a gallon of honey in. That honey then gets stacked up on the baking sheet rack. Here's my honey drying room. It's just a small room. It's about 8 foot by 5 foot. And I got my honey on the racks here on these baking sheets. I got about 12 gallons of honey stacked up here. In the corner I got a dehumidifier, just one of your common ones. I got this one from Home Depot, about $200, and then I have a fan up here. And starting out, I got my refractometer. This honey is about 21% moisture, so I want to get it down below 18%, probably around 17.5. And so I'm going to turn the dehumidifier on. Right now it's 63%. It'll get it down to about 30% humidity in this room, and then turn my fan on. And then with that air going over the honey and the dehumidifier going, it's going to suck this moisture out, and then I'll be monitoring it, and probably by early in the morning we'll have it down where we need it. I also keep a temperature gauge in here and make sure I don't get it too hot. The dehumidifier does create heat. I like to get about 105 degrees in here, and it dries that honey out nicely. But if it starts getting a little too hot, I'll crack this door open and I can regulate the temperature that way here in this honey house. I just checked this honey that's been drying overnight with my refractometer, and it's just about 17.5%. That's right where I want it. And so I started this honey yesterday, and it's been less than 24 hours, got it down from about 21% all the way to 17.5% using this little drying room with just a simple fan and a dehumidifier there. And so it's a way you can dry out small batches of honey without spending a ton of money. Alright, last step of the process is to get this honey out of these baking sheets. and into buckets. And how I do it, pull the honey out, go back to my extractor. It's big enough where I can just dump that honey right in. And then I take a rubber spatula and can easily scrape the residual honey off the pan and into the extractor. So now I have my dried honey back in my extractor. There was a little bit of wet honey on the bottom of this extractor, so I like to slow the speed down and just spin it for a minute just to mix it up so that the moisture content's all uniform in there. And that's another reason why I like getting that dried honey down to about 17%, because it will pick up a little bit of moisture through this last process, and hopefully it'll end up 18%. This is the point where I like to strain my honey. I haven't strained this honey at all yet through the whole process. So now I'm just running it through a strainer and into a bucket with a honey gate on the bottom, and then from here it's going to go into a 5-gallon bucket that will get a sealed lid. And here we have a bucket full of dried honey. You can put the lid on it, and then this will be ready for bottling time.